Sheriff Paul Fitzgerald. Sheriff Fitzgerald is the past president of the National Sheriff's Association. He's a board member of FirstNet to the D Block. Also a PPVAR board member, has been involved with our video verification committee. Paul has assigned some of the leaders within his group to assist with the weekly meetings that are being held to work on those standards. So Paul, I guess first question for you, just along the same lines, what value do you see in video verified alarms from your perspective, and also for you, what would you see as the goals and the reasons behind them?
Well, I had the opportunity to travel around the country and certain areas around the world through being president of NSA, and some of the great relationships we've established, such as Central Stations Alarm, Videofied, and others. And one of the things as I travel, I see that even though I come from a small rural sheriff's office, a lot of the issues that we have in law enforcement are the same whether it's a larger city or a larger county. So we're really all brothers and sisters in this fight together. And we have some of the same obstacles that we have to deal with. And when we start looking at Videofied and the type of responses that we can have, I look at it from a standpoint that it not only enhances public safety, but it also enhances the officer's safety. Let me explain a little bit on why that is. It enhances public safety because a sheriff's jurisdiction is county-wide, border to border within that county. Now, in a city police department, the city police officers have jurisdiction within their cities, but not outside into the county areas. But the sheriff has dual jurisdiction going into the cities and can respond. So when I have a night, and there might be some nights in my county, and my county's where Iowa State University is, if you've ever heard of that, about 90,000 population, but I can have sometimes 2, maybe only 3 deputies out on patrol. And if we have an alarm across the county, if you've been in law enforcement, you know we all have policies and procedures. You won't drive 10 miles an hour over. But if it's a busy night, you have things going on, and you have an alarm, you try to get there because you want to catch the bad guy. That's what we do. So when you're flying across the county, and you're coming across uncontrolled intersections, or you have deer that run out in front of the squad cars and they're traveling at an excessive rate of speed, that creates danger for everybody. So when we have an alarm that we can verify in one way or the other, if it's an actual alarm or if it's a false alarm, would be of tremendous help to us. My colleague here stated earlier that when officers respond to alarms, and about 98% of them, like you said, are false alarms. So as we're responding to these alarms, like everyone else, law enforcement officers come back into human nature. And it's the old alarm going off at the hardware store again, and so you just get in there and you talk to Bill or Bob or whoever's there is working. But one day you're going to come there and you're going to be met by somebody with a gun, or you're going to be met with some other instance that you have just become so vulnerable because you let your guard down. Now, if we can get into a situation where we have an alarm and it comes in and it's streamed to the dispatch of what is going on, and then that dispatch can stream that same 7-second or 10-second alarm to the squad cars that are responding, they'll be able to see who the bad guys are, what they look like, if they have weapons on them. It will be a tremendous asset to how we respond in the future. And it makes no difference whether it's small town USA or if it's New York City. The same dangers and the same challenges are presented to law enforcement all across this country. How
were you personally first introduced to video verified alarms?
Well, if, I don't know if anybody in here ever met Keith Gentoff or not, but I first met him a number of years ago when I was working my way up through the ranks of the National Sheriff's Association, and he came right up and pulled me off this corner of the room, and and you got to hear all about this, and Keith and I become great friends, and I tell you, he sure knows his business, and he's very, very passionate about it. And so I've been able to introduce him around to a few other sheriffs and get the word out. He's very active with the National Sheriff's Association, has the Central Station Alarms and others, and it's always good to see these folks. But I tell you, Keith is one who will come into a conference room and he'll yell, "Hey, Sheriff," and you'll get about 300 heads turn, and they'll know just who he's talking to. So Keith is one that actually got me involved with this, and not only got me involved with it, but also brought the product to my sheriff's office. And we've had cases that we've solved using the video fight equipment, that we've had alarms responded to, that we've arrested the bad guy. We had a couple get away that we solved later, but it's a product that's proved very, very helpful to us. But when we have the product, it's always been followed through, and Keith has made sure that when there's been an upgrade, and which has helped us, that we had that latest and greatest, and it helps to keep us on the cutting edge.
Okay. If you could, share your perspective on some of the tools that we're using within the industry today, enhanced call verification, cross-zoning, and so on. What role do you see those tools playing?
Well, law enforcement is on a continuous evolution process. We're continually trying to get better and better. And as we do this, as we continue to evolve, part of that evolution is we realize that law enforcement is not the end-all to everyone's problems. And we're finding now that it's much global, the way that we address solutions, that we involve others. And now that what we're seeing coming across the country that's been happening now, and I think is going to be a tremendous asset to law enforcement, is having the private-public partnerships in order to accomplish and enhance public safety and to make the jobs that we do very effective. And this is where this is so important, that bringing in the private sector, working with the public sector here, so we can have the best results there are.
Great. All right. Thank you, Sheriff Fitzgerald.